Have you ever felt blindsided by your woman's sudden attitude or challenges, wondering what you did wrong? What if I told you these moments aren't random? They're tests of your strength as a man. Stick with me because by the end of the stream, you'll know exactly how to turn these tests into your biggest advantage and reignite the attraction in your relationship. We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's going on, guys? We are not live today because I am traveling with Nurse Chick to Florida to go on this year's Chris Jericho cruise. See, that's why I'm sailing with Y2J, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Should make for a nice getaway. Today's episode and the next 3 episodes are all pre-recorded and scheduled out because I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. No excuses. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, today, we are going over chapter 4 in my book, Get Her to F You Again. We're not at the 8-minute mark. Can't talk like adults. And this chapter is all about handling shish tests. I have to say it like that too, because we're not adults until the 8-minute mark, right? And so the actual chapter is called Handling Shish Tests Like a Pro, right? And if you don't know what a shish test is, they're also called frame checks. They're also called strength tests. If you don't know what those are and why it's important to know how to handle them, we'll get into it more today. But basically, all women test men, either consciously or subconsciously. Okay. And one of the biggest reasons why they do it is not to be bishy women. It's not to be shishy. Gosh, it's so hard for me to talk like a sailor before the 8-minute mark. They're not trying to be, sort of combative. What they're trying to do is test to make sure that you are the strong masculine man that they need, right? They need to know that you can handle whatever life throws at you. And if you can't handle what they throw at you, how the hell are you supposed to handle like more problematic things that happen in your life, right? And so that's why they do it. It's subconscious most of the time. They don't even know why they're doing it, but it's hardwired into them, into their evolutionary wiring to want to find a man who's like a rock that can handle, the adversities of life and be able to lead her and the rest of the family through these challenging times. And so she will test you a little bit. And it's only really a test if you fail it. But if you pass it, it's just, she's like, oh, it makes her feel more safe and secure in the relationship. You understand? And so there's this whole thing called the betaization process, which we went over in chapter 1, that erodes attraction over time. Excuse me. It erodes attraction over time, and it starts with these tests. So if you've gotten to a place in your marriage where she doesn't respect you anymore, you've got to bring it back to the beginning of the relationship. And you do that by learning how to handle these tests. Okay. That's why it's so fundamental. I go into depth in the book, and we'll go into it a little bit today. Before we get into that though, do like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Like I said, I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Doesn't matter if I'm on the Jericho cruise with a bunch of pro wrestlers from AEW and WWE. I will still have an episode for you, man. If you guys are watching during the pre-recorded live right now and you're in the live chat, sound off in there, okay? Yeah, I'm not there. I can't bring your comments up on the screen. I can't answer your questions, but you can talk amongst yourselves. You can ask each other questions. You guys can have conversations in the chat. A lot of my beer club brothers like to show up in the chat, and they can probably answer the questions just as well as I can. Plus, that all boosts us in the algorithm too, right? And if you're watching the replay, drop a comment below. If you're watching or listening on Spotify, you can leave comments there too. And then please do consider sending super chats. Yes, this is pre-recorded, and yet no, I can't bring it up on the screen because it is pre-recorded. But if you ever leave a super chat during a live stream, oh man, I'm sorry. If you ever leave a super chat during a pre-recorded episode, what I'll do, I always get notifications about that. I will take a screenshot of that and I'll share that on social media so that you get the recognition you so rightfully deserve. Okay. So the first concept in this chapter, and I'm not going to read you this chapter. I want you to get the book. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on paperback, hardcover. You can even get it on Audible now. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, it'll take you to my Amazon authors page where you can find it in all the different formats. But I will go over the concepts today. So the purpose of shish tests, we're still not at the 8-minute mark. These tests are a way for women to basically gauge a man's confidence, emotional control, and masculine presence, right? And when you get upset with her, when you start apologizing for stuff that you're doing, when you start explaining why you're doing whatever you're doing, all those types of things to her are a failure. She's like, ooh, this guy can't handle these little things that I'm doing. And so she doesn't trust your leadership as a man. She starts losing respect for you. As that respect erodes, the attraction fades and she doesn't love you anymore. Right. And really it's just because she needs that. She needs that to feel safe and secure. And if you really break it down, to the base level, women are security seeking creatures that respond to strength. Right. And a strong man who's also mentally strong is going to be able to handle these tests and not let whatever she does phase him. Right. So they stem from a woman's subconscious and their need to feel secure with a strong, reliable man, because at the end of the day, women are trying to lock down a strong masculine man so that he can provide for her and her children at the end of the day. Right. And in order for you to, good Lord, I am really yawning like crazy. In order for you to be able to protect her, at least for her to feel like you could protect and provide for her, she also needs to know that you can handle, life's problems. Right. So for men, understanding the purpose of these tests, it actually helps them respond more calmly rather than taking them personally, because it's not personal. Right. You understand she has like no control over this. Right. This is a part of her firmware. She's going to do it. And a lot of guys are like, oh, if a woman tests me, I'm just going to dump her. It's like, well, you could do that, but the next girl's going to test you too. So unless you want to live alone in the woods somewhere, which, some of you guys do, most of you guys that are complaining about women, the MGTOW guys, you guys aren't doing that though. You're in my comments complaining about women instead of like learning how to better handle them, like if you were really going your own way, you would actually go your own way and leave my content alone. Right. But it's not personal. She's not doing it to make it personal. Okay. She's doing it without even thinking about it half the time. And there's an evolutionary basis for it. Okay. So historically, women tested men to ensure they could ensure that this man would provide protection, resources, and leadership. Okay. Which we've talked about a little bit. And even in modern times, this behavior persists as a way to maintain attraction and test resilience. Because in modern times, you're not like fighting off warlords and you're not fighting off lions and stuff like that. We live in a pretty safe culture now, but there are other stresses of life, right? Like what happens when you lose a job and you can't pay the bills? How do you handle that? That's why I have a working hypothesis that most women aren't leaving guys specifically because they lost their job and they don't have money. It's because the guys aren't mentally strong enough to get through that adversity and say, hey, I got a plan. You don't have to worry about it, honey. I got this, because a lot of guys are just mentally not that strong. And a lot of guys will go into depression for losing a job, and then they won't be able to get a job. And then they start beating up on themselves and they basically give up on themselves. So the woman's like, that makes her not feel safe and secure in the relationship. It really has not much. It doesn't have much to do with money. It's how you're handling yourself and dealing with the crappy situation, And so women's instinct to test is rooted in their biological need for security and strength in a mate. That's what it is, right? They need to do it to know that you're the guy. You're the guy for them. And is the more you fail these tests, the more she starts thinking you're not that guy, you know? And that's when she starts looking for her better options. Like all these guys complain about hypergamy and they're like, oh, women are always looking to trade up. They're always looking for a better option. Well, if you like consistently show that you're her best possible option, she's not going to be always looking for another best possible option. She's going to be like, no, this guy's the guy. He's the guy. Right? You understand? That's how it works. That's how it works, bro. Hey guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. I don't know if TikTok's still banned or not. So I'm recording this on Sunday, the 19th. I just recorded this following Monday's episode. I recorded it with brother David from Beer Club. And it's so weird. Like when I do pre-records, there's this whole space-time continuum thing. But this morning when I woke up, TikTok was banned. And CapCut, my clip editor that I like to use on my phone, was banned because it's also owned by ByteDance, the same company. And then later in the afternoon, TikTok was available, but CapCut still wasn't. And I was like, damn it. Like, I don't really care about TikTok being banned, but CapCut, I use that app so much. And I'm like, damn it, how am I going to get like captions on my social media and stuff like that? I do have some like alternatives. It's just epic pain in the butt right now, but still, for the meantime, I'm on all these other platforms. My biggest following is actually on Facebook. I have the biggest following on Facebook. So give me a follow on all these different platforms in case one of them goes belly up, right? And then get on the email list because you never know when any of these social media platforms are going to be gone. I don't have control over those, but I do have control over my email list. If you like my content, you always want to be informed of where I'm at and where you can follow me. Get on the email list at least, right? And then I'll give you a bunch of free stuff, including my free ebook, She's Made You Weak, which talks about the betatization process, okay? And then if you want to really expand on the idea of the betatization process and really learn how to turn the dynamic around your relationship, get my latest book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. You can get that at books.comeonmanpod.com. That's what we're going over today. We're going over chapter 4. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
Indeed. All right. Getting back on topic here. So the next concept is emotional control is the key to passing the test. Basically, she's got to see that she can't throw you off center. She can't rattle you, right? We call this frame, right? If you have strong frame, nothing rattles you, right? Anything outside of your frame, you find it sort of funny and amusing, or interesting, right? Well, emotional control is a part of frame, part of having good, solid frame, right? Emotional control is paramount. So emotional control demonstrates stability and reliability, both of which are attractive traits, right? Reacting defensively or emotionally signals insecurity and weakens attraction. Right? When she sees that she can knock you off center, when she can see that she can make you emotional, and by making you emotional, I'm talking about making you mad. Like if she's what she's doing pisses you off, you failed, bro. You failed. Especially if you actively start yelling at her or start arguing with her, or you want to check a bitch. We're past the 8-minute mark. You want to check a bitch, right? And put her in her place and stuff because you're visibly mad, in that tone, and your body expression shows that she got you, bro. She got you pissed. You failed. You failed that test. Okay. So it's paramount that you maintain composure during shit tests because it reassures her of your strength and your leadership capabilities. Okay. One thing I learned from Dr. Robert Glover in Dating Essentials for Men is that women don't want men climbing on their emotional roller coaster. Like, women are naturally emotional beings, and they're like the wind. Their emotions fluctuate like at any given moment throughout the day. Like, it's just because they're pumped full of estrogen, right? So the thing is that they need you. They need to know that someone in the relationship has their feet on the ground, and that's your job as a man. Like, she doesn't want you climbing on her emotional roller coaster. Okay. And so she'll do these little things. She'll do these little things, and she won't even realize she's doing it until you fail. And then she'll know, oh God, there's something about him that seems weak, seems insecure, whatever. Right. So that leads us into the role of agree and amplify. Okay. So this agree and amplify is one of the various methods of handling shit tests. It just happens to be, there's two of them that I like. We'll get into the other one here in a minute. But agree and amplify is probably one of the best ways of handling it, right? So this technique involves agreeing with whatever she says and then exaggerating it humorously, or humorously, exaggerating it humorously to diffuse the tension, right? So, for instance, I shave my head, I'm bald, right? So a shit test a woman might say is, oh, wow, you're so bald, right? And I'll be like, yeah, I am, but it makes me more aerodynamic, right? Like, it basically, I'm just agreeing with her, and I'm jokingly, amplifying it. The reason why that works so well, though, is it communicates confidence. It shows that the man is unfazed by whatever it is she says, right? You don't get pissed off. You're not bothered by it. All right. And it's also playful. It's a very playful response. And that reinforces a man's emotional strength without coming across as defensive. And that's a big thing. And another thing that, one of the things I also teach guys, also learned this from Dr. Robert Glover, is the concept of the 3 T's, right? Tease, touch, and tell. And those 3 tools help build heat, healthy emotional anticipation, and tension. And the reason why is it like that kind of stuff builds attraction, but teasing, playfully bantering and poking fun at her and busting on her and stuff like that, all that sort of thing boosts attraction because it's part of the 3 T's. Well, agree and amplify sort of allows you to do that, allows you to play with her, allows you to banter with her. So agree and amplify, out of the 2 methods of handling shit tests, agree and amplify is the one that probably boosts the attraction the most, right? Because it turns whatever nonsense she says into playful banter, right? So it's one of my favorites. I love doing that one. Before we get into the next one, though, guys, do check out my beer club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a good group of dudes. There's about 50 plus guys in there. It's a Telegram community. Guys are in there swapping notes all the time, holding each other accountable, leveling up in all areas of their lives. It's a phenomenal group of guys. And then once a month, we get together for a video call, which is always fun. And then if you need help, like one-on-one help implementing this stuff, like get the book. Okay. Try implementing it yourself. But if you're struggling putting it into action, book a free call with me. Okay. Go to call.fixdadbedrooms.com and work with me one-on-one for your specific situation. I had a guy last night, one of my newer clients, he and I just started, and his wife was throwing a bunch of crap at him this weekend. And so he was hitting me up like all day yesterday. And I was like, hey, handle it like this, do this, boom, 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 boom. This morning, he's like, dude, thank you so much for being there for me and getting me through that situation. He's like, she responded so well to this sort of thing. And I was like, that's the idea, bro. So if you do work with me, if you do book a coaching call with me, we have weekly calls. We'll actually get together once a week and go over certain elements, but you have access to me one-on-one over Telegram all the time. So if you ever run into roadblocks with your wife, just shoot me a message. Like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, I got you, bro. All right. So the next concept here is the other way that I like to handle shit tests, right? Which is the power of indifference, right? So you have agree and amplify, and you have act indifferent. So indifference, it signals emotional detachment and self-assurance, right? So traits women actually find that deeply attractive. If they could throw a barb at you and you're so unfazed by it that it's just doesn't even bother you, right? Like you just sort of like, let's say you're driving in the car. You're driving in the car and she's like, are you sure you know where you're going? Right? Basically, that kind of question would piss off a lot of guys because that sort of is questioning their manhood. Hey, I'm driving here. I'm a man. I always know where I'm going. We always know where we're going, right, guys? Anyway, to have her even question you on that, it's almost like she's stepping on your manhood. So a lot of guys will take that very offensive. They'll get very offensive with that sort of question, and or defensive with that sort of question, and they will get offended by that, and they'll fuck you. Of course I know where I'm going, whatever. But if you just go, yep, I know exactly where I'm going, like as a very matter of fact, that's acting indifferent, right? You're not really like engaging in an argument. You're not getting defensive. You're just, yep, I know how to get there, So that's one way of handling those tests too, right? So responding calmly without validation seeking reinforces a man's masculine frame. Because if you sit there and argue with her and you start defending why you're doing why you're going where you're going and how you're driving and whatever, now you're making her the judge of what's going on in this situation, right? It becomes validation seeking because you're seeking her buy-in on your decision to drive where you're going. Right? You don't need her fucking buy-in. You know where you're going. So you're not even playing that game. You're just saying, yep, I know where I'm going. Right? So indifference keeps the emotional dynamic balanced, right? Preventing overreactions and tension. Right? That's another reason why that works. This is probably going to be a short episode today. Because I'll probably get through these fast because I'm not dealing with you guys in the comments. So if that's the case, that's fine. Like we can have short episodes every once in a while. It's just more important that you guys get the information, right? The next concept here is avoiding defensive reactions. So I have a whole chapter on deering and the nice guy trap, right? But a lot of guys, even with a standard shit test, they end up defaulting to deering, which is defend, explain, excuse, rationalize, right? They're basically trying to justify whatever they're doing to their wife and getting her buy-in, which you're not really using hypergamy to your advantage. You've got to have the mindset that a king doesn't have to explain himself to his subjects, right? So you've got to avoid defensive reactions because defensiveness shows insecurity and a need for validation, which diminishes attraction. Okay. So any kind of logical explanations or overreactions to tests, all that does is reinforce doubts about your emotional control. If she starts doubting your emotional control, she's going to start testing you more. And the more she tests you and the more you fail, the more she's going to lose attraction. Okay. So staying lighthearted or indifferent diffuses potential conflicts and maintains attraction because you're not getting all up in your emotions about it. Okay. I invite guys to really embrace these tests, right? Like look forward to them. And another thing I tell guys too is just assume everything she says is a shit test. Everything she says or does is a shit test and act accordingly, which means you're always acting indifferent or you're agreeing and amplifying everything. You're just basically, you never take whatever she says seriously and you're always just fucking with her, right? It's the best way to handle these things. All right. Shit tests in long-term relationships. So shit tests often increase when a man becomes complacent or overly accommodating, right? So like I said before, the more you fail these tests, the more she's going to test you, right? Now, a woman will stop testing a man in like basically one or two reasons. One, you are consistently passing her tests. So what you'll find is that it won't completely stop, but it will decrease significantly. Or you'll get so good at it that you won't even you'll just pass it without even thinking about it. That's the goal. To be able to, and that's why I say treat everything she says or does as a shit test, because it builds up this habit of always agreeing and amplifying or acting indifferent, right? If you just do that naturally, like without thinking about it, you're always going to pass her test, and then it's going to feel to you like she never tests you. Hey, she never tests me. That bullshit. She's always testing you. You're just passing them all the time, right? That's the goal. Okay. So that's one way that women stop testing a man. Another one is when a woman has lost so much attraction, so much respect for you in the relationship that she no longer even wants to fight with you. She barely even talks to you. She's very indifferent to you. That is the worst place to be in if you're married, right? If you're at a place where your wife doesn't even want to engage with you anymore because she's so fucking done with you, right? That she's just emotionally checked out from you 100%. And then if she ever does talk to you, it's very short and robotic. And then she moves about her day because she'd rather not even interact with you at all because she's so fucking disgusted by you. That's a bad place to be in. And she'll stop testing you at that point because she's barely even talking to you. If that's the worst place to be in, because women are emotional beings, right? They need to be engaged emotionally. And so that either in an argument, a heated argument, that's a way to engage her emotionally. But if she's so done with you that she doesn't even want to argue with you anymore, it's a bad place to be in, bro. Or, you know, they want to have these positive banter, fun conversations with you, right? So those are positive emotions and good and negative emotions. But either way, she's showing some kind of emotion. If she doesn't have any emotion towards you at all, that's, you need to fucking book a call with me, bro. Like this book, like you can go through the book, but you're going to want to fix that quick, right? So book a call with me. But women are otherwise, like women are pretty much always going to test you. Okay. And they're doing that to ensure that you're still the strong, decisive, and capable leader of the relationship. Right. So passing these tests rekindles attraction and reassures women of their husband's reliability. So the more you pass these tests, the more she's actually going to love you. That's why when you're working with me, if you do the one-on-one coaching, like week 2 is when we really start working on these shit tests. And I have guys go out like that next week and start implementing this stuff. And when they stop reacting to their wife's stuff from a place of emotion and start just fucking with her, they notice that their wife's demeanor completely changes, and they start noticing the dynamic changing like that in the relationship. It's like fucking magic. Okay. So important. The betatization process. So I talk about the betatization process like throughout this book. It's a fundamental theme of the book. And again, if you don't have the free ebook, get the ebook. Okay. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com and get She's Made You Weak. And that explains the betatization process and how it's a 5-step process. It's very short, like 3 or 4 page read, right? But get that if you really want to understand what the betatization process is, okay? And then if you want to expand on that, get her to fuck you again, okay? But the betatization process, basically, over time, many men unconsciously adopt passive or agreeable behaviors to avoid conflict, right? Dr. Robert Glover says it in No More Mr. Nice Guy. He says, basically, these guys want to have a problem-free life. That's what they're trying to have, a problem-free life. And so they go out of their way to avoid conflict. But by doing that, it makes you seem weak and passive in the relationship, which is basically you're acting in your feminine. You're acting like a woman, and women don't typically date other women, right? Except for lesbians. So what ends up doing, because you're doing this passive agreeable shit to avoid conflict, that shifts you into beta behaviors, right? And women, like, although they need a little bit of comfort, love in the relationship, that does nothing for sexual attraction. That's why you're in a dead bedroom situation. Okay. So it shifts you into beta behaviors, and that kills attraction, and that also, oddly enough, increases the frequency of the shit tests. Okay. So passing these tests prevents the betatization process by maintaining alpha traits that sustain attraction. If you could pass these tests, if you can avoid being seen as weak and passive, she sees you as her best possible option. She sees you as this alpha male that she can't get her way with, and that builds attraction, and she fucking loves you more. Okay, it's a fascinating, fucking weird thing. Women are weird, man. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a short episode today. The next concept here is the importance of polarity. So polarity between masculine dominance and feminine receptivity is essential for attraction. Okay. You have to have polarity in the relationship for that attraction to be there. And that's the problem. That's the problem with looking at your wife like she's your partner, like she's your equal partner, because having you both being equals in the relationship, it basically kills that polarity. Right? That masculine, feminine energy, those male and female roles in the relationship are required for there to be attraction there. And as soon as you're both acting in the same place and you're both looking at each other like equals, that polarity is gone. But what's even worse is that it's still not equal. It's still not an equal partnership, because what tends to happen is men, they start deferring to their wives more because they want to get her buy-in, because she's their equal partner. I got to make sure I get her blessing on stuff. Well, that now makes her the decider, which makes her above you in the relationship. And that means you're not leading. You're not being the decisive one. That means she has to be the decisive one, which feels unnatural to her because that's more of a masculine trait. And now she's running the relationship, and she never even asked for that, and now she resents your ass for not being the leader, and she tests you more, and it just all fucking crumbles from there. So you've got to embrace this idea that you're not equal partners, that you're the captain of the relationship. She's your executive officer. You're fucking leading. She's following. Right. And Paul, that's toxic. That's very misogynistic. It's okay. If by misogynistic, you mean effective, then fine, whatever. Call it whatever you want, but it fucking works. Okay. It fucking works. So shit tests are a way to maintain, or if you've been failing them, restore the polarity in the relationship. Okay. If you have been passing them from the beginning, you're going to maintain that polarity in the relationship. If you haven't been and you need to start getting back there, it's going to restore that polarity. Okay. So passing these tests reinforces the dynamic that keeps the relationship exciting and balanced. Right? And then the last concept here sort of goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier, which is we talked about emotional control as key, but this last concept is it's basically the same thing. It's more about emotional control. And the book does repeat itself a lot, and there's a reason for that. Some of the reviews on Amazon, people love the book, but they're like, it does get repetitive in places. I do repeat a lot of the same concepts over and over throughout the book, because I really want you to have these concepts in your head and really grind that in there so it's a part of your subconscious. Okay. I want you to read this book 10 to 15 times and really absorb these ideas. Okay. So emotional control is paramount. So emotional control is the backbone of maintaining attraction and passing shit tests, right? So going back to what we were saying in the beginning, it basically what she's trying to see is if she can get you up in your feels, up in your emotions. If she can't, you pass the test, right? It demonstrates that you are the rock in the relationship. And a woman wants you to be her rock. It doesn't work the other way around. She cannot be your rock. Okay. You have to be the man who's like has some emotional durability, emotional resilience, in the relationship and that you can handle whatever life throws at you. She's expecting you to do that. If you expect that of her, that means she has to be in her masculine energy to be able to be your rock, and she doesn't want to be there, right? It feels so unnatural to her. So you've got to be steady and reliable under pressure, okay? And so practicing emotional control strengthens your masculine presence, and that keeps your attraction alive. It's a fundamental aspect in this book. It's also a big key in my second book too, right? Psychology Paradigm, the essential skills of a masculine presence. It's all about that, right? And that's it, guys. Short episode today. That's basically chapter 4 of Get Her to Fuck You Again. I hope you find some value in it. If you guys haven't got the book yet, get it now. Aaron Clary hit me up for it. He's listening to it on audio. He's such a cheap bastard, though. He can't use one of his Audible credits for it. So I had to send him an MP3, but he's going to be reviewing it here pretty soon, I think. He's listening to both Psychology Paradigm and Get Her to Fuck You Again. So look for Aaron Clary to be posting a review sometime on his channel about that. It'd be interesting to see what he says. He gave my first book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, a pretty solid review, but then he ended up comparing it to Bachelor Pad Economics. So I think with that video, he ended up selling more copies of Bachelor Pad Economics than he did with my Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. But hopefully this time he gives these a better review. We'll see. But that's all I got, guys. I will see you guys on Friday. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Like I said, though, the next 3 episodes are all pre-recorded, but just because they're pre-recorded doesn't mean you can't show up and sound off in the live chat and talk with the other Beer Club brothers and stuff like that. If you guys have been thinking about joining Beer Club, asking the guys in Beer Club in the live chat of these streams is probably one of the best ways you could find out more about it, because these guys will tell you firsthand why they like it, If you guys send any super chats, I appreciate that. And I'll look on social media, or I'll look for the notifications on my phone. And if I see them, I'll post these to social media. Speaking of social media, follow me on social media. I'm on all the good platforms, even ones that may or may not be banned right now. And speaking of being banned from platforms, or platforms being banned by the government, get on my email list. The email list is not being banned right now by the federal government. So get on the email list, list.comeonmanpod.com, and get my ebook, She's Made You Weak, okay? And then after you read that and you want to expand on that, get my latest book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. That's available on Audible right now, too. Get in Beer Club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. And then if you guys need some one-on-one coaching, go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all we got today. Short episode. We will see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.